Hello, my friend. I hope you're doing well today. In this channel, we learn English through gentle historical stories, simple ideas, and meaningful moments. So take a breath, relax, and let's begin. Imagine being born into a storm, with thunder outside your home and a future no one could yet understand. Tonight, I want to tell you the story of Nikola Tesla, a quiet man whose ideas helped light the modern world. He was not loud. He was not charming in the usual way. He was not easy for others to understand. But inside his mind, whole machines were already alive before anyone else could even imagine them. Tesla did not simply invent things. He saw possibilities hidden inside the world, and then spent his life trying to bring them into the light. His story is not only about science, it is also about loneliness, vision, disappointment, and the painful distance between what one person can dream and what the world is ready to accept. When people speak about Tesla today, they often speak about genius. But genius is only part of this story. The other part is courage. The courage to keep building an idea even when others laugh, doubt, or turn away. And that is where his story truly begins. Nikola Tesla was born in 1856 in Smiljan, in what is now Croatia, into a Serbian family. His father was a priest, a man of discipline, memory, and words. His mother had no formal education, yet she had a remarkable gift for making useful tools with her hands. Tesla later said that much of his inventive spirit came from her. As a child, he watched closely. He noticed how thought could become action and how imagination could become something real. But his childhood was not only filled with wonder, it was also marked by sorrow. His older brother died while Tesla was still young, and that loss stayed with him for the rest of his life. It left behind grief, guilt, and a deeper sensitivity than most people could see. Even as a boy, Tesla seemed to live partly in another world. He experienced vivid flashes of light and powerful mental images. Sometimes those visions troubled him, but they also gave him a strange gift. He could build inventions in his mind before building them with his hands. If this story already draws you in, comment 1 below. As Tesla grew older, his inner world became even stronger. He was bright, restless, and intensely curious. Then, as a teenager, he became dangerously ill with cholera. For months, he hovered close to death. During that dark period, one desire became clear. He wanted to study engineering. He wanted to understand energy, motion, and the hidden systems that shaped life. He wanted to do more than survive. He wanted to create. After recovering, he eventually studied at the Technical University in Graz, where his unusual mind began to stand out even more. Tesla read obsessively, worked for long hours, and pushed himself far beyond what seemed healthy. He was not interested in ordinary limits. He wanted to know how things worked, and more importantly, how they might work better. Around this time, he became fascinated by electrical machines. He noticed the weaknesses in the direct current systems being used then. They worked, but only within narrow limits. Others accepted those problems as normal. Tesla did not. He had already begun asking the question that would shape his life. What if there were a better way to send power into the world? One moment from his student years stayed with him for a long time. While watching a direct current motor, Tesla grew frustrated by the sparks, the brushes, and the inefficiency of the design. He believed it should be possible to create a motor without those weaknesses. But when he challenged the idea in class, he was not taken seriously. To many people, it sounded impossible. That kind of response would have discouraged most students. For Tesla, it became fuel. He carried the problem with him for years. Then, in 1882, while walking in Budapest, the answer arrived all at once. It came like a vision. Tesla suddenly saw a rotating magnetic field in his mind and understood how an alternating current motor could work. He did not just imagine it vaguely. He saw it moving clearly, almost as if it already existed. In that moment, the future opened. Alternating current could travel much farther than direct current. It could be transformed more easily and used on a much larger scale. Tesla realized he was not looking at a small improvement. He was looking at a new electrical system for the modern age. In 1884, Tesla arrived in the United States with very little money and a very large dream. America was full of ambition, noise, and invention. It must have felt like a place where ideas could either rise quickly or disappear just as fast. Soon, Tesla found work with Thomas Edison. At first, this seems like the meeting of two giants, but in truth, they were deeply different men. Edison was practical, stubborn, and strongly focused on what could be sold and used immediately. Tesla was more visionary. He preferred to solve problems in the mind before touching the machine. Both were brilliant, but they were moving in different directions. Their relationship did not last. Accounts differ in detail, but it is clear that Tesla left feeling disappointed and deeply frustrated. What followed became much bigger than a personal disagreement. It grew into a struggle over the future of electricity itself. Direct current had powerful supporters and large financial backing. Alternating current still looked risky to many people. Tesla now stood in a difficult position. He had the better idea, but not yet the power to place it into the world. For a while, Tesla's life became painfully hard. He took small jobs and even worked digging ditches to survive. It is a striking image. A man who could imagine the future of power was struggling just to earn enough for the present day. But he did not let go of his idea. That changed when George Westinghouse entered the story. Westinghouse understood the value of Tesla's patents and believed alternating current deserved a real chance. That support gave Tesla something priceless. It gave him room to continue. Soon, a fierce public battle began. Supporters of direct current tried to frighten people by presenting alternating current as dangerous. Fear spread quickly because fear is always easier to sell than understanding. But Tesla answered in a different way. He answered with calm confidence, public demonstrations, and working systems. He believed truth would eventually shine brighter than panic. If you have ever kept going while other people doubted you, comment A. If you have ever needed just one person to believe in you, comment B. Sometimes one person's faith can help carry a dream farther than years of lonely effort. The turning point came in 1893 at the Great Chicago World's Fair. Tesla and Westinghouse won the chance to help illuminate one of the most important public events of the era. On that stage, alternating current was no longer just a technical argument. It became something people could see with their own eyes. Light filled the fairgrounds. The scale was breathtaking. Suddenly, electricity looked less like a laboratory curiosity and more like the shape of tomorrow. That success helped lead to an even greater victory at Niagara Falls. There, engineers and investors faced a historic decision about how to harness power and send it over distance. Tesla's system became central to the project, and by 1896, electricity from Niagara was reaching Buffalo. This was not only an engineering success, it was proof that alternating current could power the modern world. After that, the larger battle was essentially over. Tesla's vision had moved from theory to infrastructure. Even today, Long-distance electrical transmission still follows the logic that helped make his system so powerful. In quiet ways, the world around us still carries the pattern of Tesla's thought. Fame followed. At least for a while, Tesla became known in New York society. He dined with important people, gave lectures, and was seen as one of the most brilliant inventors of his time. Yet, success did not make him ordinary. He remained highly disciplined, private, and eccentric. He lived through routines that others found strange, and he never built the kind of domestic life most people expected. But what matters more is this. Even after helping change the electrical world, Tesla was already dreaming beyond it. He worked on wireless communication, high-frequency experiments, the Tesla coil, and remote control. In 1898, he publicly demonstrated a radio-controlled boat, astonishing many who watched it. To some people, it seemed like magic. To Tesla, it was only the beginning. He believed the future would depend not just on generating power, but on transmitting information and energy in new ways. He kept looking ahead while others were still adjusting to the last thing he had already proved. That is one reason he so often seemed out of step with his own time. His mind was already living somewhere farther away. Tesla's grandest dream pulled him toward Long Island, where he began building the Wardenclyffe Tower. With backing from John Pierpont Morgan, he hoped to create a wireless system that could carry communication across great distances and perhaps do even more. Tesla wanted a world that was more connected, more open, and in some ways less controlled by physical limits. But great dreams are expensive, and investors rarely stay patient when profit becomes uncertain. As the project grew more difficult and its business value became less clear to Morgan, support faded. The tower was never completed in the way Tesla had imagined. For Tesla, this was not just a failed investment. It was a deep emotional blow. Wardenclyffe carried his hope that he could move beyond earlier success and change the world again on an even larger scale. Instead, it became a symbol of being too early, too ambitious, and too difficult for the money around him to understand. There is a special sadness in that kind of failure. Not failure from laziness, but failure from seeing too far ahead. In the years that followed, Tesla became more isolated. He continued to think, design, and imagine, but the world's attention shifted elsewhere. New figures rose, new industries formed, and the man who had helped shape the electrical age found himself living more quietly, with fewer resources and less public support. By the early 1940s, he was old and fragile, living in New York City with very little money. He cared deeply for pigeons and found comfort in feeding them, especially one white pigeon he spoke of with unusual tenderness. It is a small detail, but it reveals something moving about him. Even a brilliant mind that once helped power cities still longed for closeness, loyalty, and simple companionship. Tesla died in January 1943 in a hotel room in New York City at the age of 86. He did not leave the world surrounded by wealth or comfort, but the reach of his ideas was already far beyond the room where he spent his final days. Sometimes history is slow to embrace the people who help create it. Sometimes recognition comes late, after the silence has already done its work. Today, Nikola Tesla's name feels much larger than it did in his final years. People now look back and see how much of modern life carries his influence, alternating current-shaped power systems across the world. His work with high-frequency electricity, wireless thinking, and remote control helped open doors that later generations would keep walking through. But beyond the inventions, Tesla's life leaves behind a quieter lesson. A person can be unusual, misunderstood, and painfully alone, and still give something extraordinary to humanity. His story does not end with a perfect victory. It ends with a kind of truth that feels even more human. The world does not always reward people when they deserve it. It does not always understand vision while it is still unfolding. And yet, the work can still matter. The light can still reach millions. Maybe that is why Tesla's story stays with us. It reminds us to keep building, even in doubt, to keep imagining, even in loneliness, and to trust that meaningful work can outlive misunderstanding. If this story stayed with you, comment 8 below. I would love to know you were here. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope this story made your English learning feel a little lighter and a little easier. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and stay with me on this journey. And if there's a story or topic you'd like to hear next, leave it in the comments. I'd love to make more videos for you. Take care, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next story.